Hope everybody's doing well. Happy Monday. Let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who joins. Let's talk about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, neutral? Please let me know. Yesterday, I did do a special stream to talk about International Women's Day. The hashtag was Give to Gain. Women give a lot to Freemasonry in a variety of ways, and as a consequence, Freemasonry gains a lot without question. Whether it be the Order of Eastern Star, the Order of Women Freemasons, Rainbow, Job's Daughters for that matter, um, whether it even be co-Masonry, even if you want to include all of the ways that women support our Masonic lodges and Masonic buildings. I very much enjoyed going on stream to talk about International Women's Day. Also, I went on yesterday to do another advertisement, another, I guess, promotional video, for the March 28th, 2026. Once again, the March 28th, 2026 Community Services Fair taking place at the Windsor Masonic Temple. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Admission is completely free. I hope that you will join us for that. Learn about some of the services that are available to you in Windsor, Ontario, in Essex County, in fact. Whether it be, hello, MD Myth, thank you for being here. Some of those services relate to your health and well-being, some of them relate to safety, some of them relate to Masonic services. So once again, March 28th, 2026, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Windsor Masonic Temple. I did also want to mention, I used to be involved in wheelchair sports quite heavily, not so much anymore, but back in the day I was. Don't forget, the Paralympics is currently taking place in Milan. The Paralympics run from March 6th, 2026 to March 15th, 2026. There are, as of right now, Canada has a total of 7 medals. This is pursuant to Google. 1 gold, 3 silver, 3 bronze. So we are in 7th place. The leading country is China. 8 gold medals, 5 silver, 4 bronze. United States and Canada are tied in the medal count. 1 gold. So United States also has 7 medals. They have 1 gold, 4 silvers, and 2 bronzes. So there you go. Canada is 7th place. Fingers crossed we get up a few more, because I love Canada. I love our athletes, and that includes our Paralympic athletes, which sometimes don't get the respect that they deserve, I would argue. So you get the chance, tune in, support them. If you're not seeing a lot of Paralympic coverage, write to your local media outlets. Heck, for that matter, leave something in, like write a letter to the editor of the newspaper, leave some comments, contact through social media. Encourage them to start covering more of the Paralympics, right? And also, I did also want to mention, as somebody who considers himself a professional traveler, the price of gas, as of right now, has gone up 50 cents since February 28th, 2026. So now it's up 50 cents. Price of gas on average, 3.48 per gallon. I bring that up because I consider myself a professional traveler, and the price of gas is going to affect my travel, especially my ability for Masonic travel. And I think for a lot of Masons out there, the price of gas is going to start to hit them, and it's going to affect their ability as it relates to Masonic engagement. So we will see, but I'm going to keep monitoring that as well. Well, do I look rich? Because I don't think I'm rich, muscle man. And if you want to become a Freemason because you want to be rich, you are going to be very, very, very disappointed. That's not why one becomes a Freemason, nor does becoming a Freemason mean you'll get rich. In fact, in my experience, it's not the case at all. I look like Andre the Giant? I'll take it. Most people think I look ugly. So if you think I look like Andre the Giant, I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. And if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. Sahil, they are. I'm not going to speak much about, is that a stereotype? It is a stereotype and it's incorrect, which I mean, most stereotypes are, right? Stereotypes is an incorrect generalization. I mean, some Masons are well off, some are not. We have everything from, Freemasons come from all different socioeconomic backgrounds outside of different types of jobs that they have, family history. So this is one of those things where no, Freemasonry is not for rich people, quote unquote. Oops. Yeah, there we go. So once again, I hope that you guys will hit like, will hit subscribe. So Muscle Man, if you want to join Freemasonry because you want to potentially make the world better or meet other people or grow within yourself, or you have a family connection and you want to explore that, or you're just looking to hang out with guys that you enjoy, whose company you enjoy, Freemasonry is a great option. If you're looking to join because you want to be rich, you're going to be very disappointed. Well, Sahil, there's not a lot we can do about the macro political matter at the moment, in my opinion, except for, you can express your opinion and you can vote how you think is best, and you have to decide that for yourself, how you think is best. I can tell you on the community and local level, there's a lot you can do to support those around you. One of the things is improve or increase civic institutions and civic society. Consider joining Freemasonry. Consider joining other civic groups and civic groups within the community. This is a Masonic channel. This is not official in that I speak for myself and my own opinions, but this channel, Scoring Comes Promotions, the purpose of which is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it is located. It is not the Rotary Club. I'm very sorry to disappoint you. Not every Nan, I just call you Nan, not every Freemason has a ring. You need to keep that in mind. That's another stereotype. Some Freemasons have one, some don't. I have a ring. I got it from my father. I've got it over and kind of stored away. I can show it to you maybe after I'm done with this stream, but not every Freemason has a ring. And by the way, having a ring does not automatically mean that you're a Freemason. There are many people who do not have, who are not Freemasons, but who have a ring for a variety of reasons. They may have purchased one because they like the design. They may have got one from a family member. They may have got one from a friend. They may be wearing a shirt that has a Scoring Compass logo on it. They may have designed their own. They may want to pretend to be a Freemason for whatever reason. You need to be very careful and not assume automatically that someone's having a ring automatically means that they're a Freemason. That's not how it works. There's modes of recognition, there's dues cards, all of those things matter. Well, don't worry about it. Just tell them, if somebody has some type of Masonic symbols on them, like is wearing a ring or a coin or a pendant or a shirt or whatever it is, just ask, are you a Mason? If they say yes, ask them which lodge they're from. Ask them, if they have a dues card. Now, if you're just meeting them for a few minutes, you're not going to bother with the whole investigation, right? Like, if I'm wheeling down the street and I see somebody wearing a t-shirt that's got a compass on it, and if I have the time, I may ask them, like, are you a Mason? If they say yes, I may say me too. Border Cities Lodge, is my lodge. And then I may just go on my way because I don't have time at that moment to investigate them if I'm late for a meeting or whatever it is. If they're coming to a lodge meeting or they're coming to a lodge event, I've never met them before. At that point, I'm going to ask them more questions, ask them for a dues card, whatever it might be. So it just depends on the circumstances surrounding it. Yes, there are many lodges in India. Well, Starzy, thank you. But you need to calm down a little bit. You're getting kind of weird. Marina, what does it mean to be a Freemason? Every Freemason needs to decide that for themselves. Not every Freemason has the same idea of what it means. For me, Freemasonry means that the world can be made better through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. But I would argue, and this is my opinion, at the core of Freemasonry, what it means is it means that it is worth spending time with other people and it is worth spending time with one another. Community is worth it. I think that's what you could argue. Um, you'll never be a 33rd. Okay, well, I can live with that. Maybe I don't want to be a 33rd. Maybe I want to join York Rite at some point, or maybe I want to be a Shriner. Why is the 33rd so important to you, Joe? Finn Taylor says, how's it going, Finn? Thank you for being here. What degree am I? I'm an 18th degree Scottish Rite, 3rd degree Master Mason, which is the highest degree within Freemasonry. And I am worshipful master of my lodge. But yes, there are many, Nan, there are many lodges in India. So, Mr. Keeps, it's good to have you back amongst friends. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. I didn't, but I should check it out. I'm sure it was a great speech. I love Manitoba Freemasonry. I love being there last year for the 150th. Groups of people who compete. I mean, Freemasonry is not in competition with anything or anyone, with the exception maybe of Netflix and how comfortable the couch is at night and how tired people are from long days at work. But I have no concerns at all with people should they choose to join. I don't know, should they choose to join the Rotary or Knights of Columbus or Elks or Moose or all of the above and Freemasonry or all of the above excluding Freemasonry, right? What matters is ultimately that you find a way to grow these civic institutions within your community. If Freemasonry didn't exist in any form, what else would you be doing? I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. Because it's hard to say. I suppose I would spend more time involved in sports because I've always enjoyed sports. I think I would spend more time with professional wrestling. I'd spend more time reading, that's for sure. I'd spend more time watching scary movies as well. Freemasonry is not owned by any government. It's not owned by any political system. It's not owned by any country. Freemasonry is decentralized, but exists globally. I'll check it out. Maybe I'll share it. However, that does sound a little bit weirdly anti-Semitic when you say Israel owns Masons. Again, no country, religion, ethnicity, political group owns Freemasonry. Freemasonry is a decentralized civic institution. The extent that it's owned by anything, it's owned by the membership within its lodges. Well, I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. No worries, Mr. Keeps. I thought so. Okay, well, it still sounds weirdly anti-Semitic to say Israel owns Masons. I'm not sure why exactly. It just strikes me as weird, or at least weirdly conspiratorial. Right? Freemasonry is not a religion. It's not ethnicity. We have Jewish Freemasons, obviously, but we also have Muslim Freemasons, Hindu, Sikh, etc., etc. So I'm a member of 5 Masonic lodges. Yes, the lodges are, at least in my experience, some I know better than others. The financial capabilities of lodges are I think challenging across the board for many lodges, especially as inflation, prices, as economic conditions go up or go down, get better or get worse. By the same token, the financial situation of Masonic lodges will get better or worse. Good afternoon, Brother Michael Moore. Don't forget, March 28th, 2026, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Community Services Fair. I hope you'll be there. I hope you'll bring some of your Masonic brethren as well. It'd be great to see some guys join. Maybe even bring, some of the youth groups if you want. It's right across the border. Free admission. There'll be coffee. It'll be a lot of fun. Second largest membership. Nice. I mean, numbers matter a lot, right, in terms of the ability for a lodge to sustain itself. Because most Masonic lodges are designed to be self-sustaining through dues memberships, right? And so the more members you have, the more income you have. But you need to be careful, and you never want to be putting yourself in a position where you are reliant upon your dues exclusively or excuse me, you never want to put yourself in a position where you're not always looking for additional ways to grow either revenues or membership or both. Becoming comfortable can be a very dangerous thing for Freemasonry. Yes. Oh, I think I did see that, Dad. Yes, I did. I didn't see his remarks, but I did see that. I wanted to visit, but I decided not to because I had some Masonic events here in Windsor I had to attend, and so I did not get the chance to visit. But I would have liked to have if I had the choice. Um, Unfortunately, there's recently some violence in Toronto. I believe a couple of synagogues were shot at, so it's scary. We'll see what happens. Well, if you want to help me with that, the gray tone, why don't you give me a super chat? Just 99 cents helps out big time and would be greatly appreciated. By the way, tonight at 5, I'll be attending actually, let me get the exact wording of it. Well, I appreciate you calling me a mid streamer. It's better than being a low streamer. How would you define mid to higher? I'm sort of attending a networking night for Gift of Life, supporting blood services, supporting organ donation. That is from 5 to 5:45. Or 5 o'clock it starts. It finishes at 7 o'clock. I can't wait. I've always argued that we as Freemasons should care about blood donation, should also support organ donation. I am an organ donor. I may actually pretty soon be helping out with. So we shall see. Or blood donor as well. So I look forward to attending that event. I look forward to supporting the Gift of Life, blood donation, organ donation. And I'm going to be talking about it on the stream tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, March 10th. What is the most powerful Masonic lodge? Marina, I don't know how you would define like powerful. Freemasonry doesn't really work in that sense. I mean, I suppose the most powerful Masonic lodge would be the lodge that has the most membership. Hope everybody's okay. We got some people revving behind outside the window. So, I mean, maybe the most powerful Grand Lodge, in the sense of the Grand Lodge has the most membership, might be in the Philippines, or at least it's the lodge that seems to be growing the best. UGLE maybe might be up there. It's hard to judge though what makes a lodge powerful, and I wouldn't be interested in a powerful lodge. What would interest me would be a lodge in which the membership enjoys one another's company and which tries to make the community a better place. You're a face stream guy. Yes, no one mogs Cameron. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Let's not be mogging Cameron, the gray tone. Well, we shall see. We don't know if it's going to happen yet because there's a lot of tests that go into it, but potentially a kidney. But they're still very, very early in the process, so we shall see. So I don't want to say, I don't want to talk too much about it because there's still a lot of tests. I actually have to get an ultrasound done on Thursday, the 12th. So it's been an interesting process, so we shall see. You should donate your brain to that wall behind you. I don't want to donate my brain. I need my brain. I mean, most people would say I don't have one anyway. So the fact that you think I have a brain is even very much appreciated. So thank you for that. So it's not about money and influence, it's about connections. Well, it's about connection, no S, right? Because again, connections, I think the danger of that is the way you say that, it can imply connections in the sense of trying to get money or trying to get like influential or powerful or famous or important connections, which is not what Freemasonry is about. It's not about power or influence or importance, but certainly the human desire to connect with one another, the human desire to be part of something with one another, to connect with one another on a community and local level, and even nationally and internationally. Certainly, that's what Freemasonry is about, in my opinion, primarily. Um, do Masons believe? Well, Dad, maybe before death, maybe before as well. I hope before. We shall see. Do Masons believe in the Grand Architect? Uh, yes, but you need to be a little bit more specific. Like, there is no, when you say, it's not that Masons believe in the Grand Architect, it's that Masons believe in a Grand Architect. And every Freemason will have his own definition of what that Grand Architect is. They could be of the Christian faith, Jewish faith, Muslim faith, Hindu, Sikh. It's a supreme being. Now, Grand Architect is very often the stand-in used for, or architect in general, is very often a stand-in used for that supreme being. It allows each member to understand as he, or she for that matter, sees fit. Um, I have read the original 1917 accounts of the Fatima. Nice. Everybody, if you live in Michigan, particularly in around the Livonia, Detroit area, I don't know what that, I forget what that's called, like the thumb, I guess. I don't know. Check it out. I'm a firm believer everybody should donate organs. Sorry, donate blood, excuse me. This is me speaking. I think Freemasonry actually has always been ahead of the curve on that. For a time, Freemasonry was kind of known, at least colloquially, as a blood donor kind of group. A lot of Masons would donate blood regularly. Cousin, yeah, I heard about that. I remember a long time ago. Well, I think it's going to happen. I don't know, because again, it's not up to me. It's up to the doctors after they do all their tests and stuff. So there's still a long way to go. But I got my blood work done. Everybody said I was very healthy, so that's a good sign. We shall see. I have read the original 1970 accounts of the Fatima apparitions. I mean, again, Mr. Keeps, you know me when it comes to these type of things. I'm not one who believes in UFOs or apparitions or anything like that. So who knows? But maybe anything's possible. No, Freemasonry is not a spiritual thing. Freemasonry is a civic organization, a civic institution, community group. Now, the extent to which individual Masons may find spiritual fulfillment in Masonic ritual is something that every Mason has to decide for himself. And certainly it's possible, I think, but in the same way people find spiritual fulfillment from music, or spiritual fulfillment from playing sports, or spiritual fulfillment from, maybe they're carpenters and they enjoy working on carpentry at the end of the day. Like, all of that stuff is a type of, or can provide spiritual fulfillment to people. But it's not spiritual in and of itself. I think spiritual is too close to religion or religious for my liking, and Freemasonry is not a religion. Again, look at a sports team. A sports team may have its pre-game rituals. Individual players may have their pre-game rituals. If you want to argue that it brings them some type of spiritual fulfillment, I think all the better. But it's not the purpose behind it. Right? I mean, as Brother Michael Moore says, rituals are a theatrical and learning tool. For me, I've always viewed, and I still view, that right, the purpose of ritual ultimately is to create bonds of brotherhood through shared experiences. Um, might be, well, I'm hoping that it's not faith. I don't, this is not the channel where I'm not the person who should be discussing anyone's faith or what one believes and what doesn't believe. What I would say is, and I think I've talked about this in the past, like, people change their faiths, they modify their faith beliefs, they convert to different faiths. All of that is really, it's your spiritual journey, and it's what you are able to and choose to believe. And maybe sometimes something you read changes your opinion, or something you watch changes your opinion and pushes you in a different faith direction. What I would say, though, is if something is shaking your faith, the best place to go, at least at the start, would be to your faith leader, whether it be a priest, imam, a rabbi, Catholic church, Protestant church, an elder, and just talk to them about why it is that your faith has been shaken, what it is you saw, and kind of go from there. That's the best I can give on that one. How Masons explain, I don't know. You'd have to ask each Mason, I suppose. I would explain it by either an illusion or a mist, illusion, or possibly, cameras getting pictures of reflections. Um, Thank you, Brother Courtney. Yes, so that's why we don't know for sure it's going to happen yet. There's still a lot of testing that needs to be done. I did get my blood work done, and according to my blood work, I am in very good health. So all systems are operating within appropriate functioning parameters. So that's good. Again, Chris, the thing you need to keep in mind, right, is Freemasonry does not think anything, right? Freemasons think things, but each Freemason will have his or her own opinion on on these topics. So when you say, like, what do Freemasons think of Scientology, you'd have to ask each Freemason, because every Freemason may have a slightly different opinion on Scientology. I can speak for myself and say, to my knowledge, Scientology, excuse me, is a religious belief. If a Scientologist wants to join Freemasonry, then I would have no issues with it. I'd be happy to sit next to them. Beyond that, I can't really speak about it because I don't know enough about it to say, right? Whatever it is, if it brings somebody peace and happiness and comfort and helps them understand themselves better in the world, gives them a sense of whatever it is they're looking for, and is not harming people or committing crimes, obviously, then I would say I have no issue with it. But you'd have to ask each Freemason what they believe. Um, well, Walter White, well, I mean, obviously, if I had to pick between those two, I would pick Jesus. Not even speaking religiously, just Walter White was a dangerous fellow. I mean, Freemasons have a bad image in Dubai. That's okay, Anwar. By the way, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, our image is what our image is. I will say I was in Dubai um, I was in Dubai last year. I'd like to travel again, but I'm nervous about traveling because oil prices are going through the roof right now, which means tickets are going through the roof at the moment. But I was in Dubai, and I remember thinking to myself, did I want to bring with me my Masonic dues cards and my Masonic patch and my wheelchair? Because I knew that reportedly they had a bad reputation anyways. At the end of the day, I decided to bring them all with me. No issue, no problems going through customs, no problem in the airport, no problem with any of the staff, no problem at any point in Dubai having all of my Masonic items with me. So, at least for me, what I'll say is they were very friendly to me. Now, the extent to which they knew I was a Mason or not, they recognized what the patch was, or even cared, I have no clue. But it was a layover. It was a layover on my way back home. Actually, it was a layover going from the Philippines to Rio and then back home. They had a layover in Dubai. So I never left the airport. I got to the doors of the airport and then they turned me around because I had a layover. My hotel initially was outside of the airport, and then I got a layover in the airport. They gave me a hotel room inside the airport. So, but from what I saw, it was an absolutely beautiful country. I wish I could have seen more of it. Everybody was super friendly. The airport was the cleanest airport I've ever seen, so that was quite nice. Um, the number 33 is, there are not 33 levels in Freemasonry. There are 3 levels in Freemasonry. The number 33, I mean, it comes after 32. It's really, I think, overly, the significance of it is very overrepresented. It's not that significant to Freemasons. Um, and, why it is that Jesus died at the age of 33. Um, for that, I suppose you'd have to talk to a theological expert. I mean, I don't know if there's any significance to his age when he was crucified, or if it's just a matter of coincidence that that was his age. I do not know. Um, no, Freemasons do not worship devils, nor do we worship gods, nor do we worship God. Freemasonry does not worship anything. Freemasonry is not a worship institution. Right, every Freemason will believe in a supreme being. What that supreme being is up to him. There is no like Masonic God, Masonic devil. We have Masons of all different religious beliefs, but it is not a place of worship. It is a civic institution. Hello, Jason. How's it going? Thank you for being here. I've never heard that, but let me double check. No, again, there is no, it's up to every individual to decide for himself what his quote unquote supreme being is. He could be Christian, he could be Muslim, he could be Jewish, Hindu, Sikh. There is no, it's a stand in for whatever it is that you believe. Um, I'll accept it. Please hit like and subscribe. It is not, Marina. The 33rd degree Mason is not a throne above other ranks. It is simply an invitational degree within the Scottish Rite. It does not put you higher than a 3rd degree, nor does it put you higher than a Knights Templar, let's say in the York Rite, a potentate, patron of the Eastern Star, whatever it might be. I do not believe in demons. I do not believe in supernatural things. Um, Well, I mean, Chris, I can't speak to that. I never heard about that. If Scientology harasses or intimidates anyone, then, I mean, that would be criminal activity and they should be charged. No different than if Freemasonry tried to do something like that. Even though within Freemasonry, there's no efforts to silence anybody. I mean, if any group is silencing, harassing, I don't care whether it's a religious group, a civic group, a community group, a political group, there should be consequences. Well, I mean, it's the membership. Say, let's just call you S. It's the membership. It's the shared experiences of the ritual, shared experiences of being a Mason. It's like asking, what about being a football player would connect a Christian, Jew, a Buddhist, and a Muslim? They're all football players. They're all engaged in the same, they're all members of the same thing. They're all engaged in the same team or the same club. Freemasonry, you can think of it like a team if you want, a team or a club. And every time they come to lodge for a meeting, for ceremony, for initiation, every time they stay late to clean the lodge, to sweep the lodge, every time they go visit a brother in the hospital, every time they put on a community event, every time they organize a celebration, every time they deliver flowers to Masonic widows, they are connected to the craft. The idea that, there, it's somehow that people cannot be connected through these different beliefs, that just seems very silly to me. Well, apparently not, because you're still here, White King. That's a concerning name, I think, a little bit. You're still here, so apparently not. Rice. Well, before you do that, please hit like and subscribe. I mean, I don't know how to answer that question because there's not really Satan. There's not really like when you say the teachings of, I mean, like the ethical teachings. Like certainly Freemasonry encourages tolerance, respect, charity, kindness, responsibility, temperance. I mean, all of those things are pretty valuable ethical lessons, and I think men of any faith can derive value from them and derive benefit from them. Ultimately, though, it's something you enjoy. I mean, when you're going out with your friends on a Friday night, right? Do you care if they're Jewish or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist, or are you just enjoying their company? Right? Again, this whole, if you want to find a meaning within Freemasonry at its core, maybe what it means is that it's worth spending time with other people. And it's worth spending time with other people regardless of their political, religious beliefs, right? I mean, if you are the type of person who chooses who you spend time with based exclusively on their religion, I would find that concerning. So think about it that way. Um, there are no Freemasons in your attic, but if you do think there's anybody in your attic, please hit like, please hit sub. So if you think there are Masons in your attic, first hit like and subscribe, then call the police. That's a good way to look at it, Brother Michael Moore. That's kind of the way I've described it with the law school thing. Imagine Freemasonry is high school and Master Mason is 12th grade. Scottish Rite would be an after school program, and 33rd degree would be a student that attained a major award in said program. It's a good way to look at it. Um, we got a lot of people showing up. Are Masons like the Amish? No, because the Amish, to my knowledge, and I'm kind of over my skis here, the Amish are a kind of religious and ethnic and cultural group. I don't think you can, like, maybe you can become Amish. I don't know actually, but Freemasonry, it's a civic institution. So you could have Amish Freemasons. I don't see why you couldn't. But again, it's a civic group. It's a community group. It's not based on religious practices. And certainly with, Freemasonry is not, like I'm a Freemason 24 days. I'm a Freemason 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But what I do outside of the Masonic Lodge, the way I dress, the way I act, etc., that is not instructed on or controlled by or considered as part of my Masonic duties, if that makes sense, right? Freemasonry understands that there are things outside of Freemasonry that oftentimes must come first, whether it be political, religious beliefs, family, work, your community involvement. All of those things matter just as much. By the way, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Consider doing a super chat. Well, the Masons are human. Cookie, if you want to join, what you need to do is find a Masonic lodge in your area and express your interest in joining. You do not get paid to be a Mason. You do not get paid lucratively or not lucratively. That's not how it works. No one is paying you to be a Freemason. You join Freemasonry because you care about or want to be part of the community, not to get paid. Hello, No Filter Boss. Welcome back. Well, I'm trying to make this my job, so please consider doing a super chat, hitting the like button, subscribe button, becoming a Patreon member, even for me. When you say, can they help you get paid, though, what do you mean by that? Like, can they help you find a job? I mean, the more people you know, I suppose the greater your network is. As a consequence of that, it's certainly possible, at least in theory, that they can help you find a job. However, that's not the purpose of joining Freemasonry. It's not to, if you're joining for networking capability, you're probably going to be disappointed because within Freemasonry, there are declining membership numbers. So it's not as though you can be it's not as though you can necessarily find a job, or you're just as well off to join the Elks, the Rotary, heck, your local knitting club. If you're trying to find work, there's a million ways to network that'll probably be a lot easier and a lot more lucrative than joining Freemasonry. Um, well, they want people. I mean, they want people who are honorable and good people. That's what they want. They're not really worried if you're getting paid or not paid. But if you don't have a job and if you're struggling financially, you may not, joining Freemasonry may not be the best thing for you at that time. Well, it's a global, well, it exists all around the world. Trust in Jesus. When you say intercontinental, right, Freemasonry is decentralized. What that means is there's not a single governing body, intercontinentally, globally, whatever it is. There's jurisdictions, but Freemasonry exists all around the world, even in places like the Middle East, where very often the stereotype is it's banned. There are many Masonic lodges in Israel and Jordan on military bases. Um, I think the stereotype of Freemasonry being, older Caucasian males, part of that has to do with where you happen to be living at the time. If you're living in a country, like let's say Freemasonry tends to look like whoever lives in the community, right? So if you live in a community or in a country which is majority white, then your lodges will be majority white as a consequence of that. And as membership has been dropping, the membership that we have has been getting older and older, right? As tends to happen when you age. And so as a consequence of that, that's, I think, where that stereotype comes from. But Freemasonry is absolutely welcomes men of all different faiths, beliefs, ethnicities, backgrounds, races, religions, etc., etc. They're Asian, Black, white, First Nations, Indigenous, South American, North American, Indian. There's all sorts of different types of Freemasons of all sorts of different backgrounds. And there's not just exclusively male Freemasons either. There's male and female Freemasonry. Also, I do think our numbers within Freemasonry, the average age of membership is starting to trend down a little bit. Let's knock on wood. It keeps on trending that direction. All right. Enjoy the Paralympics, Dad. I love you. Thank you for being here. Well, I mean, define large scale, North Korea does not have Freemasons to my knowledge. Define large scale, define ubiquitous. I mean, those are pretty not precise terms, right? I mean, it's in 1959 there was about 4 million Freemasons in the United States. Now in 2026 there's probably 850,000 to 1 million, give or take. Is let's say 900,000 members in a country, is that large scale and ubiquitous within America? I guess it would depend how you define it. I would say it is, but it's not as large scale as it was, and it's not as large scale as I hope it becomes once again. Food and Street, the topic is Freemasonry. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 a.m., 1 p.m., to talk about Freemasonry and promote the ways it was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. I would also appreciate it if you hit the like button and the subscribe button. Help me get over 3,660 subs. For some reason, I've kind of plateaued at this subscriber count right now, so. Brother Courtney is absolutely right. We got hearts. That might be Smokey the Clown. If it is, Smokey, welcome. I know March 29th, you and I have got our live stream. We'll invite some other people, see who wants to join. It'll be a lot of fun. So when you talk about common beliefs, I would avoid using the term beliefs because, again, Freemasonry is not a religion, and I think beliefs has a little bit too much of a connotation to it of religious understanding. However, there's absolutely what's called recognition and regularity. One of the most beautiful things about Freemasonry, and I think the greatest thing about Freemasonry, is my ability to travel and visit other lodges. I consider myself a Masonic or professional traveler. I'm lucky in that I've been able to travel and visit many Masonic lodges around the world. And I've posted about a lot of these trips, so I'm grateful for all of my trips. But yes, absolutely. So long as two lodges are recognized, which means not necessarily share common beliefs, but share common practices, um, are close enough recognizable to being Freemasons, you can absolutely go and visit them, hang out with them, learn more about them. If they're having an event, you can go to the event. If they're having a meeting, you can go to the meeting. Um, it's really, really fun and really cool. They have to follow the landmarks of Freemasonry. They can't be up to any criminal or legal activities, obviously. That's a pretty obvious statement to make there. They have to have a volume of the sacred law. They have to be the exclusive jurisdiction. All of that stuff would indicate recognition, which would indicate that you can visit them. I've told stories in the past about landing in Chicago, having having no money, waiting to see what's going to happen, having 10 hours to wait from my arrival back home my arrival in Chicago, having to wait 10 hours to catch a bus back home, not wanting to spend 10 hours in the airport waiting for the bus because it's so expensive to, eat at the airport, and I didn't want to do that. I had very little money. So instead, going to a local Masonic lodge that was close by and grabbing some absolutely a delicious meal because they're having an event. So I was lucky because when I got there, they were serving food, having a meal. I got some coffee, I got some donuts, I got some beef. It was wonderful. And that's one of the greatest things about Freemasonry. Uh, I don't remember telling you that, but I shouldn't say that. I mean, you can travel. Are you saying I said? Well, I don't take vacations, but I do travel, right? I don't consider my travel to be vacations though, because I'm always traveling for Masonic something or other. Thank you for the thumbs up. I greatly appreciate that. Well, not exclusivity, with the exception of benevolence. So, if a Masonic brother maybe finds himself in challenging times, and I've known brothers who do this, they can contact the Masonic Lodge and express, they don't have to tell everybody. They tell the benevolence coordinator, who's one person, right? And he keeps everything private, but he's told, okay, I will, I'm struggling. Here's what I need. Here's why I need it. He will then go to the lodge and say, we have a brother, won't mention the name, who is struggling, and the lodge will vote on the benevolence request to give him money to help him. Now, it depends on the lodge. Not every lodge has the financial capability to do that, in which case individual brothers may pass the hat around and just collect money, private donations to give to him. Um, or he may go to the Grand Lodge. So certainly there is benevolence, and most lodges have a benevolence fund as well. But it really is dependent on the lodge itself and its ability to support a brother. But when possible, and if possible, lodges will try to help brothers, you know, in financial difficulty, which helps the entire community as well, right? You need to remember that and keep that in mind. This is not an exclusive thing to Freemasonry. I mean, or sorry, the benefit does not start and end with Freemasons. Every time Freemasonry steps in and, let's say, helps ensure a brother does not end up homeless, does not end up on the street, the benefit of that is obvious, not just for that brother, but for the whole community. That's one less person who's living on the street. That's one less person who requires social assistance, a shelter bed, Ontario Works, whatever it might be, like welfare programs. Helping each other helps the whole community and keeps one more person from needing government assistance. Aristotle, I think, poetic. Cicero as well. Both wrote great books on rhetoric. Large scale as in a major ecumenical. I gotta look up what the word ecumenical means. I used to know it. Well, so Freemasonry, yeah, because Freemasonry is not Christian. So ecumenical, I mean, we're a civic group, we're a civic institution. Um, in terms of privacy, there are private elements to Freemasonry, particularly around our rituals, but we maintain that privacy because, um, and to ensure that um, the bonds of brotherhood are shared. By the way, I should have mentioned this at the start, and I didn't. We will need to potentially take a little bit of a break. At some point, they are checking the balconies in my apartment complex. I'm not sure if they got to my apartment complex yet or not. I was gone during the morning. If they did, no issues. But if I get a knock on the door, don't be alarmed. It just means they're here to check on my they're here to check on my balcony. So we do not have a secret bomb shelter for the end times. At least I've never heard of one. So if we do, the fact that I've never heard of it is like, what are you guys doing? Why won't you give me one of these bomb shelters? Um, I don't see what I ever did to not deserve a bomb shelter. Apparently, yeah. Why don't I get to be part of this bomb shelter? I don't think that's cool at all. There are underground cities. Who has underground cities? They didn't like my coffee. The Freemasons, did they not have underground cities? Um, what does a person seek who ends up? Well, I mean, what a person is seeking, kind of everybody has to decide that for themselves, right? One of the questions I will ask sometimes of a new candidate is, what do you hope to receive from or get from becoming a Freemason? But more importantly, I ask them, what do you think you can give to Freemasonry? I think joining with the desire to serve is far more healthy and far likely to result in a better outcome altogether than joining with the desire to receive. But some may join because they want to be closer to their families. Some may join because they're looking for connections. I mean, it was very popular amongst newer Canadians. I found Freemasonry as a way to form a community. Some may join because they want to challenge themselves in certain ways, especially around things like memorization, meeting, attending different meetings, things like that. So there's a lot of different ways and different things one may wish to receive. I don't think that should be the goal, though. I think the goal in life, whenever you're joining anything, should ultimately be, do you have a desire to serve others? Um, well, I mean, why is something useless? Because it doesn't give you money or fame or influence? If that's how you define the usefulness or uselessness of something, then you're probably living a very, shall we say, a very disappointing life, or at least a very mercenary life, which does not seem to be particularly great to me. But you should never join anything with the hope to get anything, just for the record. I know that sounds a little bit cheesy or woke, but it's true. If you're joining anything, the first question should be, how can I contribute to this? How can I make it better? What type of skills and abilities do I have that I believe can help make this thing, this group, this organization better? Or I can use to help ensure that others are made, others have the opportunity to benefit from it as well. Well, Albert G. Mackey famously wrote the Masonic Encyclopedia. Beyond that, or Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, excuse me. Beyond that, I can't think of what other books he wrote. He's famous for writing the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, though. I'm gonna look up the date. I think it was in early 1900s. Actually, it was late 1800s. Let's see. When did he write that? There's a volume from 1916, which we have at our Masonic Temple. 1873. It was first published in 1873, and then 1916. That's when we have. That's the version we have in our Masonic building. But I mean, what I would say, Satan is, if anybody is joining Freemasonry with the hope of getting rich, famous, powerful, influential, important, they are going to be very disappointed, and they should probably look at joining something else instead, a different group or organization. We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. Let's give it a few more minutes, or many more minutes. We're not done quite yet. I talked earlier today, and I'm going to remind everybody once again, support our Paralympic athletes. Right now, Canada has 7 medals in the Paralympics, 1 gold, 3 silver, 3 bronze. The Paralympics go till Sunday, March 15th, 2026. Also, if you, like me, consider yourself to be travelers or interested in traveling, at the moment, the price of gas is plus 50 cents per gallon in the US, which is, the change since February 28th, 2026. Also, I saw this report today. Airports are seeing hours-long delays due to TSA shortages as Homeland Security shutdown shows no sign of ending. So if you are traveling for Mason or anything else, be prepared for long waits potentially and a far more expensive trip. Well, I can tell you the type of person that seems to remain, not who joins, but the type of person who seems to remain as a Freemason tends to be a very curious person. Um, very curious, open-minded person tends to stick around because they're always trying to learn something new about Freemasonry. I mean, what is the type of person who joins, who hangs out with you on a weekend? It's a friend, right? It's a civic or community group. That's all. So, at its core, we got banging happening. At its core, it's no different than, let's say, a group of guys getting together on a Friday night and going out for drinks or food. This is a more formalized version of it because we have rituals and ceremonies that bind us together in the same way. Sports teams will have their ceremonies, and even friends groups will develop certain rituals, right, and inside kind of jokes. But ultimately, Freemasonry is about the meaning, or is about the belief that it's worth spending time with other people. Well, you're still here, White King. The best thing I can do, Satan, is if you're interested in knowing more about it, go to your local Masonic lodge and ask if you can meet with them and talk with them, and maybe they can answer your questions in person. Maybe they'll do a better job answering in person than I am via the internet. So that's always possible as well. Well, I figured it was you. I mean, I might ban this one too. So far, you've not said anything that would get you banned at this point, right? I ban when I feel necessarily. And if you don't think it was necessary, well, c'est la vie. It's my channel. You can always create your own channel and then ban me from it if you so choose. By the way, the Paralympic motto this year is "It's Your Vibe," and 56 nations are taking part in it. So Canada is at 7th place. We're tied in the medal count with the United States, but The difference is, well, we both have 7 medals. United States has 1 gold, 4 silver, and 2 bronze, and Canada has 1 gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. So they have one more silver medal than us and one less bronze, which means they have more points than us. Okay, well, at least I can say I tried, which is more than a lot of people can say if it is the case that this channel goes out the door, right? Sometimes it's about effort and trying your best. What is going on, average PC? I hope you're doing well. AE, that's a really good way to put it, and that's absolutely correct. Freemasonry is not reliant in religion. It is an individual journey and it helps the community. I would say what it ultimately provides you, again, a lot of Masons will use the term morality when it comes to Freemasonry. I much prefer to use the term I think they're checking the balconies currently. Very sorry for that sound. That's annoying. It's an ethical compass, right? What Freemasonry provides ultimately is more ethical considerations than moral, in my opinion, but absolutely provides an ethical compass, and I think a very good one. And that ethical compass absolutely helps the community and the individual as well, and provides a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful ethical compass. Compass also being kind of a Masonic term, so there you go. They are checking the balconies. I think they're above me right now. What is so average? Please hit like and subscribe. Well, I do not know what a Mog and Magog. Oh, I think I've heard of that. But I don't know. Mog and keep in mind, Freemasonry is not a religion, so I think this is a religious context. The war of Gog and Magog is prophesied end times battle described in Ezekiel 38:39, where a coalition of nations led by Gog from the land of Magog invades restored Israel. All right, there you go. That's what it is, I guess. Again, Freemasonry is not a religion, so there are some Freemasons who may believe, for example, in a literal interpretation of the Bible. Some may not. I cannot say, but it's not something I could speak on. Beware of my skis. My mother's surname, Howdy mate. Howdy France, how's it going? Thank you for being here. There is a lot of Freemasonry in France, just for the record, so. And it is a wonderful, wonderful country. I wish I could visit it at some point. That'd be one of my goals. Had a feed. I don't know. Have not yet had. I had breakfast. I have not yet had lunch, unfortunately. Maybe. I might not even have lunch. I got a dinner tonight, so I may grab just a quick snack on my way there. But I hope everybody, once again, is doing well. Thank you all for being here. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all for joining. I hope you're all doing well. I am from Canada, born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Aussie, welcome from Australia. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It'd be great to have some subscribers from Australia. Unless you've been here before and you're already subscribed, then welcome back. I would love to visit Australia. I've said this before. I think Australia has a lot of Freemasonry, some beautiful Masonic buildings. I can see America from my apartment. I can see it right now. No, it's right next door, Windsor is. It's actually the one city that is south of America also. So I think that's a really cool thing. But no, I spend a lot of time in America. I've said it before. Canada is the greatest country in the world, in part because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. I love my American brethren, American friends, and American family. I mean, if you want to say just upwind, I love Detroit, though. What's with those weird emojis? Detroit is an absolutely awesome place. I've written about how much I love Detroit and Michigan Freemasonry. It has the biggest and largest Masonic building in the world. So, France, how did you find it different? Like, in what ways did you find it the most different, out of curiosity, from America? Sorry, Australia, from Australia. What did you find different about it? Detroit's great. Detroit is great. I do not. I know I'm Canadian, and we have a lot of great and awesome French culture in Canada, but born and raised in Winnipeg, live in Windsor. Dad is actually from England. My mom, I think my mom's heritage, she was born in Canada, but I think her heritage is Dutch, if I recall correctly. But speaking of French heritage, I will say there's a lot of really awesome history of Freemasonry in France. Scottish Rite started in France, for example. So the accents, yes, the accents are obviously different. Beyond that, what would you say is some of the other differences you noticed? And have you ever visited a Masonic lodge in in the States, out of curiosity? Because I've heard different statements, Mary Heat, but the one I see most frequently is that the kind of the founder of the Scottish Rite, Raymond Chevalier Raymond Chandler. I'm trying to think of his name now. I can't think of his name. Chevalier Andrew Raymond something. He lived in France and he gave a speech in 1737, which kind of set the framework for the Scottish Rite. But he was from Scotland, even though he lived in France at the time. Free Yucatan. No, there are women Freemasons. I talked about this actually yesterday, and I posted some things about it. There's the Order of Women Freemasons, there's Eastern Star, there's Rainbow. There are many ways in which women, are part of or are Freemasons themselves. Um, I think the misconceptions, and even this is something that I had as a misconception about Freemasonry for many years, is that Freemasonry was a fraternity exclusively. It's not. And you go back and you look at, for example, the Regius manuscript. I talked about this before. The Regius manuscript also is actually, and this is from 1390, is actually gender neutral. It refers to stonemasons of the time as both male and female, indicating there was at least some women stonemasons at the time. Oh, maybe they're having it again. If not, then yeah, send them an email, and that's perfect. Well, so they are recognized by some Grand Lodges and not others, right, Mary Heat? So again, with Freemasonry is decentralized. So for example, UGLE recognizes the Order of Women Freemasons. In Ontario, they're not quote unquote recognized, but they do actually meet in our Masonic buildings very often, or at least are allowed to meet in our Masonic buildings and use our Masonic buildings. And they did take part in a few open houses with regular Grand Lodge as well. But that's the Order of Women Freemasons. And there's many like public events where they're all together. The Eastern Star is recognized by most Grand Lodges. I'm sure there are some that don't, but Eastern Star, which is a Masonic order for men and women, but primarily it's kind of the women's group of Freemasonry, regular Freemasonry, if you want to use that term. So they're recognized around really the world in most jurisdictions. We have a great Eastern Star chapter in Windsor, an awesome Eastern Star chapter. There's one in Illinois that's incredible as well. There's also Rainbow, which is recognized, and that's a Masonic youth group for girls aged, oh, I always get the dates mixed up. If I recall correctly, 9 to 21. But the ages depend on which jurisdiction you're in. There's Job's Daughters, and there's Co-Freemasonry, which is a liberal order. It's not recognized by most Grand Lodges, but it is quite prevalent in France. So there you go. I mean, hey, if you can do no alcohol, no tobacco, and no sugar, more power to you. You should be proud. I mean, I could never give up I could never give up caffeine. So as you know, I don't drink or smoke anymore, but I don't also think personally I could give up sugar. I do have a bit of a sweet tooth. I find sugar, especially in the morning. I find for breakfast I usually want something sweet. So awesome, Mr. Keeps. Let me know how it goes. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. Like I said, I don't mind writing you a letter or writing a letter for you, but keep in mind, I'm not able to sponsor you. That has to come from the lodge itself. I mean, I would not doubt it, and I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm definitely in the do as I say, not as I do situation, meaning I'm always telling Masons to be healthy and take care of their health. And I exercise fairly regularly. You guys have seen my push-ups. I'm going to do another exercise stream shortly. I'm good about getting enough water. I'm good about my medications. But my diet is probably the worst in terms of my hypocrisy. I got to get better at eating better. Well, you got to usually live in the area for a year. Now, maybe we could say you lived with me for the year. You can use my address, but better to stick to your hometown. But once you join, I could absolutely, have you affiliate with my lodge without issue. Would it make a difference if I was or if I wasn't? Good for you. Although, again, I did get all of my test results back, and everything is within operating parameters in terms of all my different functions, kidney, liver, all that jazz. Even my cholesterol went down. Part of that probably because of exercise more regularly, though I always exercised well. And part of that is because my doctor prescribed me medication, which I've been taking as prescribed. And it's a very small pill, but the result is good. My cholesterol dropped to good levels. So there you go. Okay, that's good. See, I drink water, coffee, and a lot of soda pop. So that's probably where I have the biggest issue, is all the soda I drink. Ugh, I hate monsters. So audio, would it make a difference if I was gay or straight? And if so, why? Freemasonry does not discriminate based on one's sexual orientation. So what difference would it make if I was gay or straight? All right, we're going to put this guy in a timeout for a bit. See, I'm not a dietitian, so I'm not going to make any pronouncements on what is or is not healthy. What I will say, though, is make sure that if you are considering diet changes, whatever it might be, make sure that you talk to your doctor or a dietitian. Because, also I think depending on what medical conditions you have and your age, et cetera, that may affect what is healthy and not healthy for you to eat. So just talk to a doctor. Apparently, although I will say, once again, if audio were gay or were straight, it would not make a difference for him joining Freemasonry. But yeah, I enjoyed it. And by the way, I did want to mention, because somebody left a comment, it was Texas, Courtney. I just want to double check something. But when I mentioned about, I put in my channel the quiz, Freemasonry is exclusively male or exclusively female. A lot of people, most people have answered correctly, but some people said true, Freemasonry is exclusively male, which is incorrect. Freemasonry is not exclusively male. The correct answer is false. But somebody commented, and there was Corny saying that Texas does not recognize any female Masonic lodges, which I understand is true. I don't want to say for sure, but I understand that to be the case. However, to my knowledge, Freemasonry or Texas Freemasonry does absolutely recognize the Order of Eastern Star in Texas. Um, which has, you know, been a very important part of Texas for, let's see if I can find it. Trying to get the date. Dun, dun, dun. I can't find the date, but basically, Freemasonry, women in Freemasonry are a vital part of Texas Freemasonry, as they are part of any other, location in which Order of Eastern Star exists. To my knowledge, Texas does recognize Order of Eastern Star. It also recognizes Rainbow, I believe, and also, I believe there's Job's Daughters there as well. So, um, Texas out here holding it down for the 1800s. Hey, Texas, I love Texas. I got the chance to visit Texas a few occasions. I loved it every single time. It was incredible. I would say one of the greatest jewels of Freemasonry exists within Texas. That is the Texas Masonic Retirement Community. It's an absolutely incredible place. They do a ton to help Masons and Masonic widows and Masonic family members who are at risk of homelessness, at risk of medical issues, old age, staying somewhere, finding a place to stay. It's a beautiful, beautiful place, genuinely. One of the best places, I think, within our Masonic family. Well, I mean, uh, I'm not sure. I can't speak for your family in terms of misbehaving. I mean, yes, as a Freemason, I suppose you shouldn't misbehave. And I mean, I guess it would depend on what you mean by misbehaving. If you were to be a Freemason and commit a crime, you should be suspended from the craft. But that doesn't mean you can never come back to the craft or reapply after you've kind of served your time and after you've, I guess, made whatever amends are necessary. You can report back to the lodge and reapply to join. So, but even, for me personally, if a Mason misbehaves, I would be disappointed. But whether I would quote unquote not like them or not, I can't really speak to that. That's not something I can say, right? It would be up to them. I don't know. I guess it would depend on the nature of the crime as well, the nature of the misbehavior. I think within Freemasonry, charity is a very important and very valuable lesson, and you can be charitable financially, but you can also be charitable in terms of your support, in terms of your forgiveness, in terms of your understanding. Um, I think that stuff's important as well. I just saw this article on CTV News. As Canada's population growth slows, an economic shift emerges. Well, I mean, certainly, if you're talking about debts to, like, you commit a crime and the type of debts you can pay to society, then certainly there are many. I mean, you could be on probation. You'd have to pay restitution. You could do community service. Um, there are many different ways that after you misbehave, commit a crime, pick your term, that you could try to repay the debt you owe to society. There's also the debt you owe to your Masonic brothers and those you've hurt separate from what society expects. Right? If you're a Freemason and you commit a crime, I would expect you to feel some type of sympathy or feel as though you require You need to make it up to the lodge as well, because you brought Freemasonry to disrepute. And the way you make it up to the lodge is by first and foremost paying your debt to society, and then demonstrating good moral conduct moving forward, and request the forgiveness or at least the charity of the lodge. And then there's the debt you have to yourself, right? You, by committing a crime, did not just let the lodge down, you let yourself down. And you, I think, should have a responsibility in those circumstances to try to think about how you can repay, if that's the right term, repay your you let yourself down as well. So you need to engage in a course of conduct that will help make you feel better yourself, or at least help you recognize and make better choices in the future, would be my response to that. DJ Jones, I do not. I mean, that's a theological question, and I'm not a theological expert by any means, so I'm maybe the worst person you could ask about that. But no, I think. So, first of all, I would never want anything to be destroyed, whether it be a mosque, a synagogue, a church, or anything in between, right? I would hope that nothing would ever be destroyed. And then in terms of end of the world prophecy, I mean, I hope not. I like the earth. I'd like it to not end. But I guess what I'd say is you're asking theological questions, and I would be completely unqualified to answer theological questions. I'm going to speak from a civic, global perspective. I hope, this ends as soon as it possibly can. I hope there's no more loss of life. There's no more death. There's no more destruction. I don't think it's going to end anytime soon, unfortunately, but I hope it does. And I hope that everybody who's feeling the effects of it, Masons and non-Masons, are able to, I guess, make it through. I've said this before, there's a lot more Freemasonry in the Middle East than people appreciate. Jordan has Freemasonry. Israel has Freemasonry in Tel Aviv. There's Masonic lodges on military bases. So, yeah. Well, if a Mason doesn't like you, I mean, look, there are people I like, there are people I don't like. What I would say is, and this is true for anybody, if somebody doesn't like you, Mason or otherwise, I would say what you need to do, first of all, is ask yourself, did I do something that encouraged, or is there a reason that they dislike me? And is it a reasonable reason? If it is, then I would say you ask for forgiveness. Whether they give it or not, you can just ask for forgiveness. And then do your best to amend the situation. If you don't think there's a valid reason for the person to not like you, or you can't think of the reason, then the solution is to forgive them for their dislike and to live your life in such a way that if they were to see you and know what you're doing, they would no longer have cause to dislike you, or have no reasonable cause to dislike you. That's all you can do, right? And I'd say from a Masonic standpoint, look, there are some Masons I like, some Masons I don't. It's human nature. I don't care where you are. If you're on a football team, if you're part of a knitting club, you might not like everybody on the team, everybody in the club, but you will respect them as a member of your team and as a brother. And that's how I try to treat Freemasonry. I'm not sure what you mean by Western Hermeticism. I mean, Freemasonry is not a generalized term for the occult. You're right. Um, but I mean, Hermeticism, to my understanding, that was just it's almost like a version of, right, Gnosticism, right? It's an ancient kind of Gnostic-ish tradition. Freemasonry, I think there are parallels between Freemasonry and Hermeticism, I think, but there's also parallels between Freemasonry and Egyptian mythology, Egyptian mysticism, Christianity, Judaism, the Islamic faith, Chinese mythology. So, architectural orders, stone masonry primarily, Enlightenment era philosophy. By the way, Sam, if you're new to the stream, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. I hope everybody is doing well, and thank you all for being here. I did mention I may have to end this stream shortly, or at least take a break, because they're doing balcony checks. And so as a consequence of that, I may have some people coming onto the stream, coming in to check my balcony. So I may keep streaming while they're here. I don't know. Again, Freemasonry, there are parallels between Freemasonry and Kabbalah, but Freemasonry is not the Kabbalah. It's not Kabbalistic, right? Just because there are parallels doesn't mean it's the same thing. Oh, I do hear some people, so it looks like my balcony will be getting checked soon. If you are new to the stream, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I very much appreciate it. I hope everybody's doing well. I hope you had a great weekend also. I was hoping they would have got to me earlier. Tonight, I've got my Gala for Life open house networking event at the Center for Life, Center for Blood Donation here in Windsor. I'll be talking about that tomorrow at 1 p.m. because I think Freemasonry should, be proud of its history of supporting blood donation, organ donation, all that good jazz. And I think within Freemasonry, we're taught to be charitable. There's many ways to be charitable. With money is, I think, what a lot of people think of, but it can also be with our time, in this case, with our physical selves, with our blood, with organ donation. We can be charitable with forgiveness, with kindness, with understanding, with our interpretations. What did I do on March 8th? On March 8th, I did a stream talking about International Women's Day and talking about the ways that women give to Freemasonry and the way Freemasonry gains therein. So, and then I worked out as well on my personal YouTube channel. That was fun. Well, Freemasonry doesn't practice hypnotism. I mean, there are some maybe magicians who are Freemasons who may have hypnotism as part of their act. I don't know. It's always possible. Well, I mean, because the hashtag was Give to Gain. Women give through membership in the Order of Women Freemasons. They give through membership in the Order of Eastern Star. They give through membership or involvement with the Association for Rainbow. Very often in the fraternal side of Freemasonry, or the quote-unquote regular side, you'll have women's auxiliary groups. They'll organize special events. They'll attend banquets. They'll attend celebrations. They may assist in community service events, march in the floats, march in the flags, or march in the march in the floats or the parades on behalf of Eastern Star, on behalf of Order of Women Freemasons. As part of that, they may be carrying Masonic flags. Who knows, what it is within those contexts. But I think it's important to say that because within Freemasonry, very often there is this belief that Freemasonry is a fraternal organization or exclusively fraternal, and it's not, right? Women are an integral part of Freemasonry in a variety of different ways. Hello, Knight Rider 0Z. Thank you for being here. Please hit like and subscribe. Freemason with the capital. Capital, a lot of different E's on there. So yeah, and I think, again, Eastern Star, Order of Women Freemasons, Rainbow, Job's Daughters for that matter, and the myriad of other ways that they support the craft tends to get overlooked because people very often view Freemasonry as an exclusively fraternal order. And honestly, for years and years and years, I would have called Freemasonry a fraternity. Well, I definitely am not a fan of the term safe places, DL. I don't necessarily feel as though I need to go through my life searching for a safe place for myself as a man or as anything else. Having said that, though, there are still fraternal exclusive orders within Freemasonry, and I think that's a good thing. My lodge is fraternal exclusive, right? Male only, male exclusive. The lodges I visit are all male exclusive. Um, I would not call it a safe place per se. I mean, I guess if you want to use that term, I just find that a little bit of a cringe term. Um, but it's men only. So there's, male exclusive, there's female exclusive Freemasonry, there's Eastern Star, which is for men and women. It just depends on where you're going and the nature of the meeting that you're attending and the recognition and the landmarks and all of that jazz. So, David, it depends where you're at because it's different in every jurisdiction. In my experience, though, the third round of, we call it provings, in Ontario, the proving in the third degree or the proving to go from your second to your third is much longer than from the first to the second. Again, how much longer or significantly? I guess it depends on how you define significantly, but there is more to it. It's more involved. Okay, so I believe your emulation rituals, so I believe you're very similar to ours in Canada, in Ontario, I should say. So proving your second to your third, in my experience, is more significant than proving your first to your second. Um, well, I don't know. Let me ask you if you feel like you need help. And if you do, my suggestion is it's very hard for anybody on YouTube to help anybody else. So focus on maybe trying to find local services that can assist you. And David, what part of Australia are you from? Because Freemasonry, I think, is a very cool. Freemasonry is very popular in Australia. There's no question. So, what's South Australia like? Perth, Sydney? Forgive me, those are the two cities I know. Brisbane? Okay. Adelaide. Okay, very cool. So you go to lodge in Adelaide? I do not know what it means to vote one nation. By the way, please hit like and subscribe, Thompson. I'd very much appreciate it. Hope everybody watching this is having a great time. I hope you'll also consider doing a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out big time and would be much, much appreciated. I'm going to give this. We do have some people checking balconies, so I guess we may have to take a break at some point. One nation. Okay, well, keep in mind, Freemasonry is not political. So some Australian Masons may vote for one nation. Some may vote for whatever the other parties are. I can't speak to them. I don't know anything about what they represent or believe. Welcome back from Colombia. I would love to get back to Colombia when I get the chance. Colombia is such a cool spot. I will say I found Bogota, Colombia to be absolutely beautiful. I'm not cool enough to get invited to private parties. Actually, no, sure, Freemasonry has private ceremonies and rituals and events. Very often, though, these are open to Masons, friends, family, and even sometimes the public. Freemasonry is not about being sort of part of exclusive private club, right? If you want that, maybe join. Like if your emphasis or desire is for exclusivity, you're going to be disappointed. That's not what Freemasonry is about. And I wouldn't want to be part of something that was all about exclusivity. So you need to keep that in mind also. But, what do you think happens at quote unquote Masonic private parties? That'd be my question for you. And by the way, as always, if you are just joining, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget, the Paralympics are taking place. Canada right now has 7 medals. One gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. Also, since we have somebody from Australia, let's see if I can find. Oh, Australia currently has 1 silver medal. America has 1 gold, 4 silver, 2 bronze. China is currently in the lead with 8 gold, 5 silver, 4 bronze medals. No, but they're checking every balcony in my apartment complex. So maybe they're planning to do some renovation work on it. I don't know. I loved Colombia. I thought it was absolutely beautiful. I stayed in Bogota. Really cool people, friendly people, very nice. I loved it. So I loved Freemasonry in Bogota. One of the most absolutely beautiful lodge buildings I've ever seen in my life was in Bogota, Colombia, and it's very close to where I was staying, which is really nice as well. But no, it's beautiful. So. Oh, the U.S. sled hockey team turned in another dominant performance, this time beating Germany 13-0. The win guaranteed Team USA a spot in the semifinals. All right, so I'm guessing Canada's going to be in the semifinals as well. Maybe we'll have another Canada-U.S. game. This time I'm hoping Canada wins. Welcome from Thailand. Please hit like and subscribe. Hope you're doing well. I mean, sure, sometimes Masons will have events or parties or whatever at their place, and I'll get invited. It's just like having friends, right? Sometimes your friend is having a party. I have no idea. I can't speak to the political situation in Colombia. What I can speak to is how friendly everybody was in Colombia and how much I loved it and how much I'd love to go back to it. We're going to hang out, ready to see who joins. Once again, I have no specific topics for today. I did want to mention again, though, just check out the Paralympics. Don't leave our guys hanging, or your guys, whatever country you're from. We need to spend more time supporting the Paralympics. I also want to mention, um, once again, yesterday was International Women's Day. Freemasonry has there are a ton of ways in which women support or give to Freemasonry. Eastern Star, Order of Women Freemasons, which is recognized in Texas, the Eastern Star, Rainbow, Job's Daughters, women's auxiliary groups. All of those things are incredibly important parts of what it means to be a Freemason, and we should remember them. And also, I guess, another heads up, or if you want to call it a discussion point, gas is, as of right now, up 50 cents as compared to February 28th, likely to continue to go up. We also have a continued shutdown at Homeland Security, which means you have significant delays in travel. If you are traveling for anything Masonic related, please make sure that you give yourself extra time, especially if you're flying, and that you budget accordingly if you're driving. No, that's not how it works, Zebula. When you talk about private parties, I feel like you're implying something like Eyes Wide Shut, which is not what Freemasonry is all about. It might be what Stanley Kubrick thought Freemasonry is all about, but that doesn't mean it's what Freemasonry is actually all about. Um, yes, Petro is a former guerrilla. So, I mean, I understand that there's elections happening right now in Colombia. I'm not sure who the new president will be. I guess we'll see. Again, Freemasonry is not political, so I'm sure every Colombian Freemason has his, views on who the next president should be. I guess we'll see. There was a solstice celebration that takes place in Colombia, Freemasonry. It's not a ritual that we have in emulation. It's not a ceremony or ritual that we have in my jurisdiction. And it seemed really cool. And on top of that, there was an incredibly cheap flight. I think it was some type of deal that I could fly, I think it was like 300 something round trip Chicago to Bogota and back. And so I did not know if those prices would last for very long, so I took advantage of it. Um, it was a really cool ceremony. Again, really cool people, and I have right now my pinned video is the ceiling of the lodge building in Bogota, which was absolutely, or the covering, if you will, which was absolutely beautiful. Maybe, I guess it would just depend, Zeb, on define how you would define side situations. Like this is a side situation, right? This is not an official Masonic channel. This is my opinions on or about Freemasonry, right? Some may be involved in sports, wrestling, their work, their religious commitments. So there are many things in which a Freemasonry may be involved in a side situation, which is perfectly fine. So long as that side situation is nothing illegal or immoral, then I have no, you can do whatever you want. Well, transportation is not shut down, but Homeland Security is shut down, which is causing, per CNN, pretty extensive delays in travel right now. Let me see if I can find it here. Um, Airports see hour-long delays due to TSA shortages as Homeland Security shutdown shows no sign of ending. This is from CNN. Lines at security checkpoints. The one I went to is, yeah, there are, I mean, Colombia, South America in general, has a ton of clandestine lodges. That's not a moral judgment. I'm not one of these people who's automatically opposed to a clandestine lodge, but they have a ton of clandestine lodges. But the one I visited, the Grand Lodge of Colombia in Bogota, is recognized by UGLE. And actually, a lot of they are one of these groups, though. They don't perform ritual in English. Their ritual is in Spanish, which was really fun. I loved getting the chance to see I love hearing ritual in different languages. Lines at security checkpoints continued to stretch for hours at airports across the country Monday morning as a partial government shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security continues. The department, which oversees the Transportation Security Administration, posted photos of long lines in its social media pages, blaming Democrats for holding spring break travel hostage for political points. Funding for the department lapsed in mid-February amid a standoff between Republicans and Democrats over federal immigration reform, with TSA workers set to miss their first paycheck this week. An increased number of them are taking unscheduled time off, leading to long lines and delays. The TSA lines at Houston's William P. Hobby Airport stretched for more than 3 hours again Monday morning, the agency reported. So if you are planning to travel for Freemasonry, you're either looking at increased costs for gas and fuel, which could also mean either increased costs for driving or increased cost of tickets and significant delays getting on your flight. So be prepared for both of that. Well, everybody has law. Now, they may choose to not listen to the law, or they may live in a country in which the laws are not enforced. That is one solution from Nicholas Romita. And look, I get it. And I'm not going to knock anybody who does not want to travel right now. Certainly, if you're a Canadian and don't want to travel to the States or don't want to travel, when you consider when you hear these stories, these reports, I mean, yeah, it's very frightening. And I don't think we should pretend that it's not. I mean, frightening in an economic sense, frightening in how much time you're willing to spend in a line sense. And maybe even more, certainly if you're traveling overseas and you see the threat of violence. I would say I've made it a point to try and continue traveling as best as I can for a variety of reasons. But mostly because you're still my Masonic brothers. If you're in the States, if you're around the world, and I still owe it to you to try and visit when I can, if I can. But I recognize why, and I'm never going to knock anybody who chooses to kind of keep their head down at the moment and hope for things to pass. It's up right now 50 cents from February 28th, so we'll see where it goes. Um, There is no lodge in North Korea. I would not advise travel to North Korea. I would say keep in mind when you're traveling. I'll use a Canadian example, but there's many other examples. Check with your government's travel advisories, travel alerts. It will tell you where to travel and where not to travel, where it's safe and not safe. Register with the government. If you're choosing to travel somewhere that's not safe, you're taking that risk yourself. Be careful. Register yourself with the government so they know where you're going. Keep copies of your documentation, keep copies of your Masonic documentation as well as your passport. Know your passport number or at least have a picture of it, something so you know, so you're safe as relatively as you can be. But also pay attention to travel documents, pay attention to travel alerts, travel warnings. But I would not travel to North Korea. What notice for what? I don't think, if you're talking about the draft, I don't think there's the draft yet, but I guess we'll see. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen at the moment, right? And anybody who says they know, you need to be very, very hesitant about that. Because we don't know. So it's possible. Anything is possible, right? But we just don't know. Honestly, I've heard that there are people doing that now, like booking space in bunkers. That seems to me, and this does fit into Freemasonry, by the way, that seems to me to be a terrible idea. I think, if nothing else, one thing Freemasonry has kind of taught me is it's worth being around other people, it's worth spending time with other people. However, I may think of human beings and their challenges and how often I can find them challenging. I do not want a future in which I'm living in a bunker by myself and everybody else is either gone or also living in bunkers, where I think we in Freemasonry should be thinking about how can we ensure we don't need to live in bunkers by demonstrating to the world unity, kindness, tolerance, respect, and not a desire for destruction or harming others or judging others based on their religious affiliations. On whether Freemasonry can be successful or not, I have zero idea. But I think it's relevant to consider how we can do that and what that would look like. Sometimes even just the demonstration is enough. The fact that within Freemasonry demonstrate to the world at large that we have men of different faiths, different beliefs, different politics, ages, religions, ethnicities, socioeconomic status, languages, all calling one another brother. Maybe that can be a reminder of tell somebody to the rest of the world. What's in the bag, Space Lagoon? That's a better question. What's wrong with the whole justice system? You gotta, whatever system you are in, Freemasonry, we are taught to be compliant with the laws of the country in which we live or work, which I believe in, by the way. Well, Freemasonry is not about making money. It's not about getting rich or getting famous or getting bags of money. That's not what Freemasonry is about. I mean, I think what I guess I would say is everybody, at the end of the day, everybody makes their own decisions at the end of the day, right? And I will always advise and argue that you should be compliant with the laws and the rules of the country in which you live and which you're located. But everybody needs to decide for themselves, right? What I would say, though, is you have to look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, but you also have to make sure whatever you're doing is legal and compliant with the laws of the country in which you live. I think there's conscientious objector rules, so I don't know. I can't speak too much about it. What I would say is I would hope that Freemasonry can provide a light to the world, an ethical light, not a religious light, an ethical light that that encourages maybe drawing back from violence and judgment and, pushing against others based on their religious beliefs, in my humble opinion. I mean, I've gone through trials in my life. Whether I became stronger enough, I guess. I mean, people, it's tough to say. I think I did. Certainly, it gives you more of a confidence that if you survive something that is a big trial, you feel like, okay, maybe I can survive more. Or other things maybe seem less scary in some ways because you survived the big trial. You can be a Christian and be a Freemason, FD. You can be a Freemason and a Christian. When you say no World War III, I don't think we know. Again, I don't think we know what's going to happen, Mr. Keeps. I think we need to be incredibly humble about our ability to see what the future holds, right? Will it keep going? Will it not? I don't know. I don't pretend to know, right? I think there's reason to believe it could continue to go, especially because, to my knowledge, the current new leader of Iran is more of a hardliner. Um, my fear, and I speak exclusively for myself, not for anybody else, is my fear is that with Iran, there's a bit of a rope-a-dope happening, which is they knew that they would not be able to, you know, do any significant damage or harm, and would take significant the first, let's say, 2-3 weeks of the war. But if they manage to just hold on for long enough, eventually Americans would deplete their resources as well as deplete political will. You would see oil prices rise, which would create a lack of political will, and to continue, at which point they would start to push back. Is my suspicion. We shall see. I just hope that everyone, including Freemasons, are, you know, manage to stay as safe as possible, especially if you're in the region, especially if you're serving. We all want you to live to see tomorrow. Um, there's nothing special about being a Freemason. Well, Nikki Gold, I mean, that's true, but there's nothing special about not being a Freemason either. I mean, Freemasonry is special because I love it, and therefore it's special to me. That should be good enough, right? That should be, it's like saying there's nothing special about your favorite song. It's just a song. It might be just a song to me, but that doesn't mean it's not also special to me. The two things are not mutually exclusive. Freemasonry may not be special to you, but it is special to me. Um, Again, there is no collective thought about space exploration within Freemasonry space, Legume. Every Freemason will have his own views on it. I love it, though, and I think we as Freemasons should support space exploration because it's about increasing human knowledge and understanding of the universe, which I would say is a Masonic ethical lesson. But I speak for myself. There are many Freemasons who probably would say we should not spend any money on space exploration and should focus it entirely on social programs or tax cuts. Who knows? But I'm a supporter of it. I've talked about space exploration on this channel many times. No user, um, we could not provide missiles, user. That's ridiculous. I mean, Freemasonry is not a military branch. It's not, there are military Freemasons. We're not weapons producers. We're a civic community. That's like asking if your local knitting club or moose or elk lodge could provide weapons. That's just being silly. Or missiles. I don't know, Mr. Keeps. The idea of unlimited missiles, I know that's what people say. Nothing is unlimited. I would be much less sure of the future if I were you, Mr. Keeps. I don't know what's going to happen is my point. Maybe they do. But even unlimited, I mean, I don't want an unlimited fight, obviously, right? And there's two types of unlimited. There's unlimited in a physical sense, like you just have unlimited amounts of the thing. Again, we're speaking somewhat hyperbolically. Nothing is unlimited, but let's assume unlimited in the sense of a can maintain the fight significantly without stopping for the next 5 years. Let's say that's what you mean by unlimited. I mean, even if they have the capacity, there's also the political capacity And I would suggest, I don't think most people right now have the desire to see things continue the way they are, especially when oil is up 50 cents, right? According to CNN, this is the biggest oil disruption in history. I've been trying to monitor it because, again, as someone who travels, consider myself a professional traveler, this is going to start to hit cost of bus tickets, train tickets. This is going to start to hit the cost of flights. So, yeah. Um, well, I'll take it. I'm sure he's a handsome fella. Please hit like and subscribe. There is Freemasonry in Jordan, by the way. People don't realize it, but there absolutely is Freemasonry in Jordan. I am a third degree Mason. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite Mason. Um, all right. No, we're not supplying logistics and radars either. Hello, Banu. I mean, the purpose of Freemasonry in modern times is the same as the purpose of Freemasons in any time, going back to, let's say, 1717 when the Grand Lodge was formed. It's to fulfill the human desire to connect with one another. If you want to ask what the meaning is behind Freemasonry, it's ultimately that, or the belief, it is the meaning, it is the belief that it is worth spending time with other people, right? What is the purpose of going out with your friends on a Friday night? What is the purpose of any group? Even if they have, let's say, a assigned goal, like they're a football team to win a football game, that doesn't change the fact that they're doing so because it's worth spending time with other people. That is the goal of any group activity, or the meaning behind any group activity. I got a crazy skull formation. I've grown to accept it. Smokey the Clown, welcome. Thank you for being here. I think those are the hearts. Um, I mean, once again, Mr. Keeps, I'd be careful with words like unlimited and already won, and we don't know what's going to happen. We just don't know. Why a plumber? Why, it's basically, why a plumber? Why an unemployed person? Right? Because the Masons, so architects may join Masonry from an operative perspective, but that's operative Masons. That's the profession. I mean, it's a club, it's a social group. People like to be part of clubs, whether you're a lawyer or a doctor or anything in between. You just want to be part of a club. Or maybe you're a lawyer and your dad was a Freemason, you want to be closer to him. Maybe you're a lawyer and uh, you've always been interested in history, you like the building, maybe you got married in a Masonic lodge building and now you want to support the lodge by joining it, right? Many lodges rent out spaces in their buildings for a variety of events, including weddings. Um, do I believe in Jesus Christ? I certainly believe that there was a historical figure, Jesus Christ. Like, I believe he existed historically. Are you asking if I'm a Christian? No, I'm not a Christian, but I know, Freemasonry has many men of many different faiths and beliefs and religions. Sure, why not? You could be a McDonald's worker and join Freemasons. You could be unemployed and join Freemasonry. Like, Freemasonry is not, it is the internal and not external qualifications of man that Freemasonry judges. That includes, we're not going to judge you based on where you work. Now, we may judge you based on how well you work. I would say within Freemasonry, there's an understanding and an expectation that you'll care about the things you do and try to do them well. That includes working at McDonald's. Well, that's true. I mean, I think that's changed a lot, but yeah, many law societies set strict limits on how lawyers can advertise themselves. We do not worship an owl god. Freemasons do not worship any gods. There's no Masonic god. Freemasons will have their own religious beliefs and understandings. Some may be Christian, Jewish. I think the owl you're referring to is Moloch, which is not a Masonic thing, although some Masonic seals, like I believe in Detroit, they have an owl on it because it is meant to represent Athena, the goddess of wisdom, right? Um, or Minerva from the Roman understanding of it as well. Um, but yeah, it's about wisdom, right? The owl was wise, so was Athena, even though apparently, from what I understand, based on my very limited zoology, owls are actually very foolish and not very smart creatures. But there you go. The more you know. I guess owls are like the least intelligent bird compared to like a crow or something. I mean, the Masons are people like anybody. There is no Mason like another Mason. They're all individuals, they're all unique. Now, again, I would say they may have certain personality traits that make them more interested in Freemasonry, like curiosity, open mindedness, in my kind of generalized experience. But they come from all different backgrounds, all different beliefs, all different types of work as well. Um, yes, but apparently owls are not smart. Again, I don't know if that's true or not, but there we go. Um, Narcissism. Are you suggesting I'm a narcissist or Freemasons are narcissists? Apparently they are. I don't know. I could be wrong. No owl lovers sue me, please. If you're a zoologist or you study birds, let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. I support LGBTQ rights. I've known many, gay Freemasons. Freemasons are not going to discriminate against you whether you're gay or straight. Um, Egypt is better. I don't disagree. I did a post about Egypt. I don't know if you saw my community post, but I did a post about Egypt and Freemasonry. I was actually a clip from the television series, The Chosen. There is no single goal or vision for Freemasons. Every Freemason needs to decide for himself what his goal or vision is. I would say the belief is it's worth spending time with other people. For me, the goal is to try to make a better world through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. No global control. Freemasons are not interested in control, global or otherwise, except maybe control of themselves and maybe their less good qualities of themselves. I mean, I don't know if we steal from indigenous worldviews. That seems a bit strange, but apparently the owl is a very stupid, not intelligent animal. Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Owl. How intelligent is an owl? Here we go. Owls are not considered highly intelligent compared to birds like crows or parrots, ranking as average in cognitive ability. While often associated with wisdom, their smartness is specialized for survival, with brains heavily dedicated to vision and hearing rather than problem solving or complex social behavior. There you go. That's according to Google. So don't get mad at me. I mean, Freemasonry is a civic club or a civic group, right? And it's also decentralized. Some lodges may pursue certain aims as part of a kind of mission, like they may say they're focused on charity. The extent to which, I mean, if you had to pick a Masonic mission statement, you could use to make good men better, but that's a relatively recent or current idea. Again, for me, the mission is to try to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. But that's my view on the Masonic mission. That's not inherently and in and of itself a Masonic mission. Um, well, we all pay dues for something, Cool Aid. Please take a moment. If you're just joining us, hit that like and subscribe button. Consider doing a super chat also. It would be very, very helpful. Help me turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. Yes, I got a big forehead. I've grown to accept it. What's the point of getting together with your friends on a Friday night? FRR. What's the point, Fiverr? What's the point of sports? What's the point of having friends, having brothers? What's the point of going out with your colleagues after work? You could say, well, you have to see them during work. You don't need to see them during your off time. People like to be part of things. People like to belong. People like to be part of something bigger than themselves. It's within our nature. Um, well, we're not stealing anything. Freemasonry, well, I guess you want to say steal. From our rituals and ceremonies, we certainly borrowed a lot from different groups and organizations, without a doubt, but many borrowed from us as well. Why reinvent the wheel? Well, no, but let's say, so when I was part of a club, sorry, when I was, working, um, had a 9 to 5 at an office job, we had a social committee, and every month all of us would put in $5 to the committee, and they would organize an event outside of work, or sometimes during lunch hour at work, and they would use the $5 to fund the activity, whatever it might be, or to buy food or refreshment. Freemasonry is a self-funded entity as well, but many groups and clubs, you have to pay dues to be part of it. When I was part of a softball team, didn't play softball, I have no legs, but I went out to watch the games. It was, again, part of a work thing, and everybody paid, I think it was $20 to be part of the team, because those dues went to pay for, the uniforms, the equipment, and paying the rental space and paying the league fees. Um, Freemasonry power. Freemasonry is, I guess, a collective in a sense. I mean, there's a collectivist quality to any group, I suppose. Whether you think it's weak or not weak, I guess, is up to you and how you define it. It's not weak to me. No, Freemasons do not open portals. It's impossible. Portals don't exist. Unless if you want to talk metaphorically, I mean, sure, in the sense of like you're passing through a portal from, like the lodge door, for example, is a portal from one part of the world to the other. So sure, if you want to look at it in that sense, but that's metaphorical, that's not literal. So make sure you keep that in mind. Um, I don't know what Kool-Aid's point was. Oh, yeah, but I mean, sometimes with friends and family, obviously it's just friends and family, you're not paying dues, but if you want to do anything special, you might be. And even it might not be dues. Like you're all going out for dinner, maybe you all put in $50 to go to a fancy restaurant or something. What's wrong with just brotherly love? Why is it just? Just is a stupid word, Kool-Aid. Just is a very lazy word. People who say the word just, I tend to have questions about their intelligence. Um, Not a poor person. Good for you. If you're not a poor person, you should give me a super chat and consider hitting the like and subscribe button. Can I say yabba dabba do? I can say a lot of things. What I'm hoping I will say is hit the like button and the subscribe button. I don't know what that means, Stinger. I mean, Freemasonry has and does a ton of charitable endeavors. Sometimes where, the reason a lodge will collect dues is for a charitable event. Um, I was born this way, never had legs. So it's not that nothing happened to them, I just never had them. Um, no, Rondo, your question, a person's intelligent based. In this case, yes, the word just and the word only. And by the way, I use the word just and the word only as well very often, but I try not to because what I find is the choices of words that you use very often reflects, at least to a certain extent, how you think about things, right? And so, and your level of thought. So, for example, if I were to say, if somebody comes back from the Olympic Games with a bronze medal, and I say to them, "Oh, you just got a bronze medal," there's an implication there that I'm unimpressed by it, or it's just a bronze medal. Why couldn't you get a silver? Why couldn't you get a gold? Same thing with the word only, right? Like earlier on the stream, somebody said you only have 10 viewers. It's like that tells me that you have a certain way of thinking about things, a certain way of thinking about the world, and it's limiting. The idea, for example, that the common purpose of Freemasonry is just brotherly love, you could get the exact same information by saying the common purpose of Freemasonry is brotherly love, right? By saying just, there's an implication there that you don't think it's, you either, you don't think people are intelligent enough, you're not intelligent enough to make the point without the limiting word, or you're trying to limit it for some reason. But I would suggest, if you look at the state of the news right now and what's happening in the world, brotherly love is something that is sorely lacking in the world. And maybe if we had some more of it, we'd actually be doing better. So maybe instead of limiting or implying that brotherly love, it's just brotherly love, maybe be thankful for an organization that tries to promote brotherly love in a world that very often finds it lacking. Um, what about using the word like? It depends on how often you use it. I do think repetitive word use can at times also imply a lack of intelligence, but I also recognize that there are times when things have a certain colloquial kind of just quality to them. It's about where you grew up or how you grew up. So, for example, if you grew up in a place where the vernacular consistently used the word like, then maybe that happens. To a certain extent, uh, I think less complex intelligence certainly indicates a lack of ability to think in complex terms because to think you'd need a decent vocabulary by which to express those thoughts. But there are certain words that tend to stick out to me and indicate, if not a lack of intelligence, at the very least, a very limited way of thinking. Which, if you want to call that lack of intelligence or not, the word just and the word only are two that come to mind, especially when it's used in the context of limiting an idea or limiting an accomplishment or limiting a goal, right? It's just 10 push-ups, who cares? It's only 10 push-ups, who cares? That was happening during my push-up stream, right? Um, where I was doing push-ups and somebody said, I only did 10, that's all I could do. It's like, why say only 10? Why not be proud? 10's a big deal. So the petition process, home visit, and interview. So it's different in every jurisdiction, Stinger. So I'm going to give you the very general idea. The first step, Stinger, is to approach the lodge of your own accord, express your interest in joining of your own accord. You may get an application form that very first visit, that's possible, or you may get the application form later. But there's a process. They will get to know you. When I say they, I mean lodge membership, particularly the people who may become your sponsors, but they will get to know you. You will get to know them. They will tell you more about what's expected. They will answer your questions about Freemasonry. And by the same token, you will get the chance to learn more about them. When it comes to the application process or the interview process, you need to view it as both your chance or their chance to learn more about you and your chance to learn more about the lodge. You want to take advantage of both. At a certain point, once they're comfortable, they will give you an application to fill out. Obviously, you need to have your tombstone information, where they can contact you, how they get in touch with you. And usually you will require 2 sponsors to sign off. It'll be the 2 people, at least 2, that you've gotten to know through the process thus far. That's why very often they will encourage you to, go for coffee with them, join them for banquets, special events, meetings that are open to the public. It's about getting to know you so they feel comfortable sponsoring you. Because ultimately, if they're sponsoring you, they are saying to you, we think you'll be a good fit for Freemasonry. And so it's a very serious thing to sponsor somebody. Sometimes after that, there'll be 3 other Masons who'll be assigned to meet with you. Again, it's another part of the application process where now they want to once again get to know you. It's a boots or it's a belt and suspenders thing. And the three will be signing off as well on whether or not you would make a good quote unquote Freemason. Sometimes they'll visit you at your home, and the reason they do that really is to give, if you have a wife or kids or anything, a chance to ask questions as well. We recognize and understand when somebody is joining Freemasonry, um, it's not just them joining Freemasonry exclusively, right? Yes, they are becoming the member, but that impacts and affects their wife, that impacts and affects their family. The family may have questions. The wife may have questions. You're asking my husband, my boyfriend, who knows what, my father, if let's say the kids are teenagers, you're asking him to spend time away from me and with you. They have the right to ask questions as well. And that's why very often they would schedule a home visit. But it doesn't have to be at somebody's home. It can be anywhere that the member is comfortable and is interested in joining or is interested in taking part in it. And again, it's just another meeting. It's another chance to go over any questions, another chance to talk about what's expected, to confirm belief in a supreme being, to remind him of the dues and make sure he's comfortable doing that, paying those dues. It won't be a burden on him. And then there's a vote in the lodge. And then there's a contact once again. And if the vote was, in the yeses, in the affirmative, they'll schedule your initiation. Um, the process can sometimes be long, sometimes be short. It depends on how busy the lodge is and whether they spend, like how much time they choose to spend focusing on the application process. I would say when I joined in 2007, application processes tended to be very short, but now many Grand Lodges are encouraging the application process to be much longer, so you can get to know the brother better before you sponsor him, before you have a committee meeting, and before the lodge votes. Um, um, and and yeah, the the process. It's important to remember also from a lodge perspective. You know, it's okay to have more than a couple sponsors. It's okay to take your time, and it's okay to get to know the brother better. And it's okay to express concerns, even to the brother, even to the applicant, about why you think he may not be the best fit for Freemasonry. Well, I think a lack of intelligence creates a limitations within your life, right? Now, I don't know if you have a limited vocabulary. And when I say vocabulary, keep in mind, I'm not suggesting like you may be unable to speak but use sign language. You still have a vocabulary, right? You may speak a different language than me. You may have a great vocabulary. I think you know eh, the more you read, the more words you know, the more ways you have to express yourself, the more intelligence is a consequence of that. Now, I think his intelligence can grow, I think, right? Um, I don't know if that's scientifically understood or not. That's just my opinion. Because obviously, everybody would agree you have much more intelligence at age, let's say, 15 than you do at age 3 because you know so many more words and have so many better ways to express yourself. It's not the exclusive way. Vocabulary is one way to expand one's intelligence, but it's a pretty good way. Even in the abstract, like you may increase your intelligence by learning how to fix a car. But if you never learn and have the vocabulary through which to describe what you're doing and how you're fixing the car, um, that intelligence is limited. Do you know, define intelligence? I'm going to give you my definition of intelligence, which is not, by the way, um, the scientific one or the maybe official one. I don't know what the official one is. I would define intelligence as the ability to understand the world and then express that understanding to others. So that would be it. the ability to understand the world and express that understanding to others. I would say that is intelligence. I noticed making electronic music. Sure, I would not doubt that at all. Music, I would say creating music will definitely increase your intelligence, but that's only half the capacity. You then need the ability, after you've created the music, to express what you're doing and how you're doing it. And if you can't do that, you're still limiting your intelligence. You need both, right? Unless you do things exclusively for yourself and your own enjoyment, and you don't care about others and their ability to interpret it, right? That's a whole separate issue. But I think then you're kind of got half the equation, right? And especially the ability to explain things in an abstract manner and an abstract means, at least to yourself. I know some people would say the art should speak for itself, the art should stand for itself, which is, there's some validity to that. Like David Lynch, one of my favorite directors, will always say, like, he won't explain his movies. They should just stand for themselves. But I don't know if I believe that or not. I think it's fair to expect the creator to be able to explain the creation. But I suppose others will have their own views on that. I feel like this has got a squeaking sound to it. I gotta get my table oiled up. But musicians are incredible when it comes to pattern recognition, no doubt. Being a musician is all about timing. Awesome, Zeb. I wish you best of luck in getting a record label. And if you do, I look forward to being able to say I knew him when he was on my stream, right? Again, I was going to say he was just on my stream, but I don't want to say the word just because just limits. He's on my stream, and I appreciate you being here very much. We're going to be ending this stream shortly. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. I'm also going to be bringing you info from the Gala for Life, which I'm very excited about. So it's going to be a blast. I don't know. Maybe not after telling it, but like maybe not during the set, but I would want the comedian to be able to explain the joke during an interview or in a special, right? In the same way, like during a movie, once the movie's finished, I don't want the director to come on the screen and go, okay, here's what happened, and let me explain this art to you. Or I don't want necessarily, when I'm looking at a painting, the painter to be right there and telling me what I should be seeing. But I'd like to think that if I were to look up what did the artist mean by this, I'll get an answer. I want mastery to the extent that it's possible, Zeb. It will never be possible to be a master, right? Fully. Literally, I guess I could argue I could be a master mason. I am a master mason. I'm a worshipful master, but mastery, the ability to achieve perfection, I'm never going to get there. And I don't expect to get there, but I expect to do my best to try to be a little bit more perfect every day. Understanding that I may absolutely fail in the process, and that's okay. Are you a master at hitting the like button and the subscribe button? That's my better question for you. We are going to be ending this stream shortly. Once again, I'll be back on at 1 a.m. I'll be back on with all my info from tonight. It's going to be awesome. I hope to see you all there. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Well, from a theological perspective, I suppose you could argue Jesus would have been a master of everything, be it a mason, a carpenter, a builder, I suppose. But if you're talking literally, Freemasonry did not exist at that point in time. So no, nobody at that point could have been a master, at least a master Freemason. or a master speculative Freemason. Well, he should at least be able to explain how he came up with it, right? Why did he come up with that joke? How did he come up with it? What was going on in his life? Why did he choose those words? Why did he choose to put it in at this special? Same with a movie. Like, I don't need you to explain to me the plot of, I don't know, like a Nightmare on Elm Street, but I do enjoy listening to the commentary tracks where Wes Craven explains like where the idea came from, how he developed it, how he changed the movie, what directing it was like, right? I think the artist should talk about the art. Even for David Lynch, he doesn't have to tell me what Mulholland Drive means. I can probably figure that out for myself or develop my own interpretation, but I'd like him to explain, how he came up with the ideas for it, what it was like filming it, some insights he gleaned from filmmaking through it, how he used his insights to develop it, things like that. I've never understood that, Zeb. I know, like, doctors take the Hippocratic Oath, military men take oath, military people, personnel take oaths, police officers take oaths. Of course they. I never understood this idea that Christians can't take oaths. How could a Christian be a doctor at that point? How could a Christian go to court and swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? My Lost Highway interpretation? Oh, a man is extremely jealous and insecure, takes out his wife, ends up being so unable to live with himself that he imagines himself as a whole different person, a young person who's cool and hip and gets all the ladies or whatever it is. Basically, the second half of that movie, he's still the real person, the real Bill Pullman, who's playing the character, is still in jail. He's just basically in a fugue state. Um, or he's imagining himself as somebody else, and the rest of it is his imagination. And the last bit of it is him in the chair, um, where he can no longer pretend and realizes this has all been an illusion, this has all been in his mind. Um, Well, I mean, if you're a Master Mason first, you can join the York Rite and you can go through the Royal Art chapters, including to the Knights Templar, which is the highest degree. But you need to be a Master Mason first. Um, yes, I'm a thumb face. I've grown to accept it. Please hit like and subscribe. So that's my interpretation of Lost Highway. It reminds us, don't be jealous. Don't be the dangers of jealousy, right? Bill Pullman was smart. He could have just, if he was correct in his assumption that his wife was cheating on him, which I think the implication is that she was, just divorce her. That's fine. That's all you need to do. Just walk away. You don't need to ruin your whole life and take somebody else's life, out of jealousy. That's insane. No, I don't know what a Roblox server is. Isn't that a video game? I mean, I play Dead Space and I play Assassin's Creed. Not a poor person, yes, but that's not related to Freemasonry. That's something that happened way before Freemasonry. I think it's a bit more complicated than that. We watched. I have my whole opinion on that and the problem of evil in the world, which is a philosophical idea not related to Freemasonry. It's my own personal views. Maybe I'll share that another day. But I don't think we can use evil in the world as a way to prove or disprove the idea of a loving supreme being, whether it be God or anything else. Um, I mean, one of my top 10 movies of all time is Mulholland Drive, which I adore. I also really like Inland Empire. Um, I think Mulholland Drive is a great moral lesson in it as well, which is, again, I think the dangers of resentment and the dangers of bitterness and the dangers of anger. I think Mulholland Drive gives a pretty, genuinely, a pretty great warning against how that can absolutely ruin a person and cause them to just ruin their lives. I don't know what Mark Frost did, but I mean, I really like David Lynch's L.A. trilogy. I think Mulholland Drive is the best. I enjoy Inland Empire, and then Lost Highway is great as well, but it's in third place. Okay, guys, we are ending this stream. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'll be back soon. When I say soon, 1 a.m. tonight. Thank you, guys. And tomorrow, 1 p.m. as well, talk about today's gala, or tonight's gala. Twin Peaks, okay, Twin Peaks is good, although I never really got into it when it first came out. All right, talk to you guys later.